We move to Leaky T, who was in his car watching a clip of Hyun's fight with the red butterfly. While he was enjoying watching this movie, he is interrupted by the arrival of his advisor. Leaky T asks him if Hyun rejected the offer. He answers him with a sigh. He did not show any interest in the offer and the incentives. He tells him that he expected this, as joys like Hyun have since. Frida is proud and asks her about what he said. When he refuses, he tells him that he mentioned something about entities, which caught Leaky T's attention. The counselor asks him if he has an idea about what he means. He answers him saying that it is the first time he has heard of this. Then he changes the subject and asks him about the red butterfly, and if she accepts, they will answer with a delay, as was done. Playing for him, their only goal was to join the Northern campaign, so they had no objection. He praised his work, then said that he would return home and walk tomorrow, and after the car moved, Lee Ji-tae was thinking about what Hyun meant by the entities. Since he does not know his intentions by remembering them, he cannot determine his goal, and he will on transportation to monitor him. We go to Hyun, and he is returning from the test. She asks him for 2 days about who is with him. He tells her that it was a message from the head of the Hunter Recruitment Department, and they presented this to him after the test ended. She says that she is not talking about this, but about the small box, and before he opens it, he remembers how he got it. The red butterfly came to him. She apologizes to him and asks him to forgive Hungarian, so that he remembers that she is the big man who tried to teach her a lesson. He tells him that it is a thing of the past, and Sensei will interrupt him, offering him the prize for first place in the test, as it should have been his, and she will be grateful to him if he accepts it. Saying that he had no other choice but to accept, and it seems that she more useful than he imagined. The first place prize was rare gloves that increased the endurance and defense of the hands. 2 days tell him that the crystals were sold to Park Hosu. He is surprised that he bought them again. She tells him that he was looking for the crystals, so even if you sold them to someone else, he will find a way to take possession of them, making him suspect that there is someone in the invisibility requires this amount, and if he can reach it without the intervention of any intermediary, it will be more profitable, but this will not be easy. His thoughts are interrupted by Hyun, who asks him if this is the prize, only for him to turn the box over, saying that he remembers that they talked about a financial prize. The top cover of the box falls, and it was a paper that is absorbed. Trusting him, calls Min and asks her to see and asks her if she wants to eat some meat. It appears that this paper is meant for a large amount. After the meat dinner is over and they return, he says that the organization is doing something different. They provided a cash bottle just for a test. She tells him that this shows their interest in hunters, and this is the reason. Ordinary people believe that the life of fishermen is easy. She asks him to be careful. He says there is no need to worry. He stops talking to me because he smells something, and it seems to be the smell of blood. He orders 2 days not to interfere and to return to the car. She asks him if there is something. He tells her to wait for him until he returns. He follows the smell of blood to reach the back of the house. There is someone there, and he has killed some people, and this person is Park Hosu. He greets him and tells him that these are members of a Japanese Yakuza gang, and they are seeking mud with crystals. And they are not the only ones seeking crystals. Even the hunters ranked in the highest positions want to know the origin of these crystals, even if he does not intervene. Miss Human would have been hurt. He asks him what he wants, tells him that he has an offer for him, which is to create an alliance with Tyson, so that June learns that Legit T is responsible for all of this. He tells him that he has now returned from rejecting his offer. Park says that he investigated his matter, but surprisingly, he was unable to find him. There was something about him, as if someone had inspired everything about the crystal moss, which is only found in high-level corridors. And not only that, but he had heard that it showed movements that only those who have experience in corridors and with these capabilities can show, and just a drain cleaner asks of it. He waits for him to follow him, interrupting his words. He says that he does not care which organization he is connected to and asks him to work with them. He tells him that he is grateful for his help, but it seems that he misunderstood. He interrupts, saying that he chose the wrong way to deal with this problem. The regime takes on the title of the strongest in hell after sensing the intent to kill, and before it gets up. Hyun bays something, then Park moves to attack him with the stick so that he can avoid the fatal blow. Hyun comes out good to return the attack. Park is surprised that he wants to return the attack in a critical situation like that, and says that it will not have a great effect. He receives a blow with such force that he was able to partially avoid it. He notices the glove and says that it is supposed to. For the red butterfly to be in first place, Hyun tells him that this is considered self-defense. Hyun stands ready to fight. Park tells him that he prefers difficult decisions. He takes off his coat, saying that he did not want to hear what he said. He throws his clothes on him, saying that it will be a bit harsh. He takes his coat out of his sight, to be surprised that the stick was a sword shouting at him. They said that this is cheating. He activates the battle assistance skill and begins to avoid Park's magic strikes, which cut through rocks due to their strength. He retreats back until he reaches the wall, so he uses L to jump behind him, and before he can say anything, the sword almost pierces his head. He takes advantage of his approach to it and grabs it and uses it. He has the skill of dominance, and it seems that Bar has fainted. He tries to lift him up and overthrow him, but he is surprised that he resists and asks him if that was his spell. They raise the sword to Hyun's neck so that his blood can flow. He tells him that he did not cut his neck because he does not want to kill him, and orders him to tell him who the one giving him the orders is. Then he is surprised. With laughter from Hyun, he asks him if he had forgotten something, only to notice that his sword is corroding. As soon as he realized that his blood was poisonous, he attacked him, grabbed his mouth with his injured hand, and pinned him to the wall to receive a deadly poison. Hyun looks at him with devilish expressions, saying that he has no immunity to poisons, despite his experience. Park raises his hand, and by directing a blow, broke Hyun's arm, then he gave him a kick, pushing him away from it. He searches through his clothes and takes out a vial from it, and it appears to be a therapeutic dose. He asks him if this is a good medicine and sarcastically asks him to give him some of it. They are surprised that he is standing properly. They say that he is sure that he broke his arm and a few ribs. So how could he stand like this, as if nothing had happened? We know that this is because of the last survivor skill, which was activated after his endurance decreased to 10%. He asks him if he wants to receive more. He looks at his sword and then says that this is enough. He is here to offer him a deal, not to fight him. He tells him that he was the one who attacked him. First, he says that he thought he could convince him with force, but he seems to be more stubborn than he expected. Then he asks about the person behind his actions. He stands up and tells him that he works alone and acts alone. He asks him about the source of the crystals, telling him that this is the secret of his profession. He repeats the offer to him to join the Tyson Syndicate, telling him that he does not work. Someone is under his command, but the matter may change if he decides to work under his command. He says that he is talking nonsense, and if he remains in his dreams, he will leave. Hyun says that he wanted to include him in his ranks because of his relationships, but after he realized the extent of his strength and capabilities in dealing with people and obtaining this information, he cannot wasting this opportunity. He asks him to be frank with him and ask him about what makes the Taesung Guild so important. He heard that it is lower in rank than the Mighty Lotus, which is ranked 3rd, and the average of its strongest members is weaker than the Great Unknown Guild, which is in 2nd place. What raised his question is that the Taesung Guild Legite only seem like 2 media figures, so why should he not forget about them and invest in a young person like him? He tells him that there are 2 types of people who agree with what he said, either an idiot who is unaware of reality, or a failure who raises the bar for his ambition and believes that he can become like Li Jitae. He tells him that this is what he said. Qasim is someone who just about lost to him. Even if he used that damaged blade, he knocked him out with a magical sword attack, and he says that if he wanted to fight him, he would kill him. He would not have been able to do anything in the first place. We see that this attack injured his cheek and destroyed the wall behind him. He continues, saying that there are members of the Thai Guild. Sun, who are more powerful than him, and above all of them, Li Jitai stands and says that someone who has not reached the 10th level for such a person is not even a sacrificer. He asks him about what is amazing about Li Jitai. He asks him what he means. He shouts, saying that he will show him. He will show him that he is better than Li Jitai. He asks him to tell him how much strength he needs. To compare with Li Jitai, he tells him that after Li Jitai became a hunter, he reached the 20th level in less than half a year, and that was because he was supported by a guild like Tai's son. If he were an ordinary person, it would have taken him a year at most, and if he wanted to pretend that he was different, then that would be the minimum. He tells him that in 2 weeks, he will do it in 2 weeks. Si-Tak is the one who made him realize that he is better than Li Jitai, and if he does it, then he will have to work under him. He tells him that this is an offer that he cannot even consider. Then he says that he does not know where he is training, but he hopes that it is a better place than the place he is training in. Li Jitai then leaves to tell him not to worry, he has the right place. We see that he went to hell in order to train and kill some goblins. He then attacks this goblin, and the goblin tries to bite him. He then inserts his hand into this goblin's mouth and hits his head on the ground, causing the goblin to go into a state of shock. He tries to remove his hand, Hyun, from the place. His mouth and Hyun tells him that it is not permissible to spill what he has eaten, and that he must chew well. We see that his level has risen to the 10th level, and we are not the only ones watching, as the invading entity Jordan is watching him with us, and after a few moments he realizes that he has grown a little. And after he finishes wrapping his hand with a bandage, they are surprised by the swelling of his side, asking her where it was. All this time, she seems not to care. She took him with 2 needles. If he dies, he will be revived again. Then he wonders if this is what will happen in the real world as well. He looks into the goblin alcove and says that the matter has improved a lot. He was looking everywhere for any monster to fight. Then he thinks about the first goblin he met. The owner of the red hat, after fighting all those goblins, was unable to meet him. He did not finish his speech without him walking behind him, and he made a hook for himself that the monsters mourn the death of their kind. He shouts at them to stop wasting time and come to fight him.